The stream is live.
We are live, coming to you from the
That's pretty.
fortified castle, reaching across the nation to Mountain Ajar, JC Mountain Ajar. That infamous. Let me put them on there. There you are, JC Mountain
Here I am.
Ajar.
It's the one. It's the one mountain in the desert, New Mexico.
Yeah. So, how's it going, brother?
I'm good today, man. I'm good today. Yesterday, I had so much like free time to mess around, so I put out a lot of videos. And today, the morning's pretty nice. Got some free time this morning, so I was just messing around here in the shop.
I saw that.
You know, it's
I went to your channel, and I don't know. I guess it was maybe Friday or something. Watched a couple videos, and then today, this morning, I knew we were going to talk. So let me just go check out and see what he's up to. And he had like 35 brand new videos there. I was like, dang, he must have been bored yesterday.
no, man. I told myself if I had this much time, I wonder what I'd be doing, man. I'd probably be
Mhm.
making like 5 videos a day because I made several, but I didn't publish all of them.
Yeah.
So I could imagine if I would have published all of them, that would have
So
been crazy.
you published 35, so you got like 100. You made 100 of them yesterday. Then,
I had a blast, man. I had a blast. It was a
hey,
good
Alabama
time.
Knife and Tool, George, what's
Kevin,
up?
George, good to see you guys.
You can see him. Can you see him on the?
No, no,
You, you can't see him
I
on the.
can't see him.
Oh, you're on your phone, right? show
Yeah.
that.
Last time.
Show that cool alcohol heater that you were showing me.
Yeah.
Check that out, guys. That's the old copper alcohol heater. That is so cool. And live, JC blowing himself up.
Ka boom.
But boom! We caught it live.
Yeah, this thing holds quite a bit of alcohol. I put in about 30 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
It's soaked it all up. It's got this little reservoir in there. Pretty fun. It's cool. This is the color that it was this morning.
And then you polished it up.
Then I just worked on it. So I made a video. I cleaned it with lemon juice and salt. The salt acted as the abrasive, and the acid from the lemon juice
Cleaned
didn't
it up.
hurt the yeah, it cleaned it up. It didn't hurt the copper at all. But I've never cooked with copper or used copper to drink out of. But when I bought this, the gentleman said, as long as it looks pretty good inside, as long as you clean it up and boil the water and get rid of the first water, it'll work pretty well.
Yeah.
But if it's a different color in there, then it's probably not good to use to drink out of. I
Well,
don't know the whole specifics. I've
yeah,
never used copper before.
you just clean them up. George said, "Watch your eyebrows, JC."
Oh, because they're all long too, man. I got owl eyebrows.
We don't we don't have any agenda. We just every now and then, we call and catch up. So we thought we'd just do a live show of us catching up, see what each of us are doing and how's it going. So that's what we're doing on the live show. We don't have really have an agenda today. I was watching.
Oh,
I watched a video this morning. You were making breakfast outside. Was that today?
that was yesterday.
Yesterday? That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. So I made several videos when before the baby woke up, and those videos were more kind of detailed. And then when she woke up, I kind of have to split my mind between watching her and keeping her entertained and doing what I'm gonna do. So I waited until she woke up to cook the food because then she can cook right along with me. So it was pretty cool. We had some food, and I did a mail call from Bubba's EDC.
Yeah.
Man, that guy gave me all kinds of stuff. I
Yeah. I
actually
see your
kept.
little girl light up when she got all those toys.
Oh yeah, huh? That was great.
Mhm.
She just screamed, "Ah,
Yeah.
toys!"
She was like, yeah, I like this.
Yeah, huh? You should see, man. She's wh- like when she wakes up, the one of the first things she says is, "Do we have mail?"
Yeah.
She
Yeah. I
goes
mean,
to the
that's
door.
that's the thing. She's gonna want to do videos with you now because she'll think she get mail all the time. But yeah, I enjoyed that. It's fun seeing her interact with you. It's really cool. And just a great idea, to cook breakfast outside,
Oh,
cook something up.
it was nice.
I'm sitting here
So,
playing with that new pyrite that I got. Can you see it?
see, that's the CJRB
Yeah,
pyrite.
pyrite. And
Is it? Is it
just
rose gold?
yeah, that's the rose gold. Let me see if
Oh, nice.
looks sharp, don't it?
Oh, the Bowie looks
Yeah,
sharp, bro.
it's the Bowie
Absolutely.
blade, the new Bowie blade. Looks different. I don't know how I feel about that Bowie blade, but I don't know. That's not really picking out the color either. But let me turn another light on here, see if it'll pick that color up better. Yeah, I think you can see it a little better there. See,
Right there.
it is
Yeah.
so pretty, man. And it just like all the accents are the rose gold. You can see that.
I like it.
And it's
Yeah.
smooth. The only thing is it's a button lock, and the button lock was a little stiff. But I just put a little bit of oil in there, and those button locks will smooth out over time anyhow. Yeah, it's not really stiff. That's a sweet little. Let me see if I. That's a case, uh, 32 pattern next to it. So they're not. It's not huge. It's a nice little EDC carry.
Yeah. They have less items to like break down too. Like that simple button lock is just such a simple mechanism, right? I mean, it's got less stuff that'll break or left no springs,
I'm
so
not.
it's
I don't know. It's
just
just
seems.
my opinion, but I don't think button locks are real strong locks. But the one thing I notice, I don't know. I don't know that I can show you, but you can almost see it. See that little notch in there on the round?
Yes. Yeah, I see it.
So a lot of them don't have that, but this has like a notch. So when this snaps in, that wide part of the button lock that you're
Yeah.
pushing in that holds the spring, that actually sits into a groove on the tang of the knife itself. So I think it's more positive than a lot of them that just fall on the blade on the post, right? So like a lot of button
Yeah. So,
locks,
yeah. So it kind of goes in like this, right? Like
right?
you're gonna
So a
boom.
lot of button locks have like a post. So this is whoop, this is the area that holds the spring, and then they have a post, right? And then you're pushing from this side over here and pushing it in like that, right? So
Right.
it's kind of like what a button lock looks like. A lot of them land on that post, and this is actually catching the big part, the housing that holds your spring. And there's a little notch in the blade that catches that. So I don't think a lot of them are engineered that way, but um, I've never felt that they were really strong locks. But
Yeah.
the biggest
What?
problems you have with them is they catch a lot of times. So uh, I don't know. I don't think they're really popular. Do you like them?
I like the one on CJRB,
Yeah,
and then I like CJRB anyways. I know that those guys are from the U.S., but they manufacture the knives out in China. But I
yeah.
mean, they're U.S. guys, so I'm pretty happy to try and support them. But I like their button lock. I bought the Buck Sovereign, which is the Buck's button lock that came out at Shot Show, and
Mm-hmm.
it just came in. It just came in yesterday, and I'm gonna have to take it apart, and I'm gonna have to either like polish whatever they got in there, which is most likely washers. I'll just kind of buff them up a little bit and oil them in there because the button lock is super stiff, and it just
Well,
when
the
you go to
button lock
open it,
or
it
the
go
blade? Button lock
the
or the
button. It's the button. When you press the button, the
yeah,
blade only comes up about halfway. I like it to swing like yours is swinging.
yeah,
You hit that button and the swing's nice and open. I
yeah.
would think a little oil would help, but I think I got to go a little deeper on this one, so I'll just take it apart. And I did the same thing to the Civivi. Civivi needed a little bit of help too, so that's why I kind of say that I like the button lock on the CJRB because it didn't take very much to get really loose and playable.
I've I've
Kind of
got a
kind of like.
few. I can't remember which ones I have, but I have a few button locks. They're just not my favorite. They're easy to actuate, right? So like use them is probably easier to use than an access lock or a bar lock, but I don't know. I just I they're not a I'm not a huge fan of them, but
What type of lock do you like?
I think the best lock is the back lock. Triad lock
Yeah.
is the best, right?
Yep.
It's the strongest.
Because
But
I've fallen away from liner lock for sure.
yeah, I've never had a problem with liner locks, but they're uh, they can pop open on you. You can hit them. I don't really have a problem. I mean, for most of the things that you do, a liner lock is just fine, and the button lock is just fine. But uh, if you're doing heavier stuff, like if you're using it at work or something like that, then I think I'd probably like, it's hard to beat a lock back. You know,
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man.
and
Lockbacks are awesome.
I think guys just get spoiled with that fidget factor. You know, this
Yeah,
is that new
absolutely.
Civivi I got. I can't even remember the name of it, but it's a modern slip joint, and it doesn't have stellar looks, but it's got half stop.
Ooh.
This is a little
Oh
bigger than a tri.
yeah.
You know,
I remember you made a video with that one, man. Yeah.
and I'm liking this thing. Just uh, see how it fits your hand,
Right.
and it really, it's black G10, so and the blade is steel gray, so it's not doesn't stand out in any way, but it fits good in your hand. It's comfortable. It's a it's hard, like when you go into the modern slip joints, it's hard to get a big one. They're all small, the modern
Hmm.
slip joints, and this is really the first really big one that I saw. But it's awesome.
I
Get that
like that one.
thing there.
When I saw your video with that one, I looked it up on Amazon. I put it in my wish list right away. That's a good looking knife, man.
It wasn't expensive either. I mean, that's the thing. I don't know what kind of steel. I think it's eight. Not it's 9 CR15 MOV steel on it. Eventually, Civivi is going to go to that that new super steel they're using, that 9CR AR ARM 9, I think it's the name of it.
Yeah, yeah, they like the powder metallurgy, right? That's what they like.
It's yeah, it's kind of like powder metallurgy, but it's not the same thing. And that was the complaint. That's what this blade is, right?
Yeah.
And the complaint was it's not really powder metallurgy. It's two different technology. And this is produced by a thing called spray form. And
Mm,
it produces smaller carbides than just regular steel that's made, but it's
yeah.
not as small as powder metallurgy. But I think it's a good steel. You know, everything that I've read or heard about it, you know, people are saying it's a solid steel. You know, and it does offer a little better performance than the 9CR15 MOV. You know, so I think it's fine. You know, I haven't used this yet, so I don't really know. But you know, most steels, I don't have a problem with most steels. I don't have a problem with 8CR13. You know,
Mhm.
when you got to sharpen it, you just sharpen it, but it's easy as hell to sharpen. So you know,
Yeah, it's so soft.
yeah, a couple swipes on your ceramic rod, you know, and it's hair popping sharp again.
Yeah. I'm always, we're always messing with unboxing stuff and boxing stuff, and your knife's always there at your side. So the other day, I just stropped my knife on the cardboard. I was surprised how well that worked.
Yeah, I put that in a video one time.
Oh,
An
really?
EDC video I did. I was talking about you know being out in the woods and alternative thinking
Yeah.
and using a belt, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you could even use your pants, right? So you got a pair of jeans, you can strap a knife on a pair of jeans, but using a belt works really well. And think about that. That's how they strap up razor blades is on a leather belt. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
so
You know,
yeah,
you know
especially
too.
keep it sharp because if you go out in the woods and have to use stones, it gets problematic, right? You got to get the right
Yeah,
stone.
that's definitely the difference between being able to strap on almost anything versus needing to really fix a damaged blade to sharpness. Yeah.
Yeah. What
So
were you going to say?
a while back, Jo sent me this keychain,
Yeah.
and and I've been using that too. Like
Yeah.
you can tell there's some soft or some smooth parts right there because I just kind of mess around.
Yeah. It works, right? So I don't, you know, it's really easy to get into thinking about something, right? You you get kind of focused on one thing, you know what I mean, and don't
Yeah.
tend not to think outside the box. But you know, when you're out in the woods surviving in a survival situation, eh, that's why. Oh man, what's that guy's name? Keep forgetting his name. Um, yeah,
There's David
yeah,
Canterbury and
David Canterbury. That's why he talks about that a lot about wearing. You know, a lot of guys are in the tactical belts. I am right, so I like and for a long time I used a nylon tactical belt because it's
sure.
easy and it fits. You know, so I have a growth problem, so I'm still growing, and the part of me that's growing is my abdomen, right? So, you know, a tactical belt, you just make an adjustment. You don't have to buy a whole new belt. And but you know, he David Canterbury advocated wearing a leather belt for a reason, right?
Sure.
And you know, he showed that you could strap a knife up on that leather belt, but it's also just a strong. You know, I've used my leather belt to make a carry for firewood. You know, you're out camping and you go gather firewood and you make a carry for the firewood and use your belt. Works great, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of guys, you know, these young kids, if you really take a good look at them, these kids 20 years old, I guess up to 30, you know, they don't wear belts anymore. They're not wearing belts. And when I grew up, that was part of being dressed properly. But when you're talking about EDC or tactical stuff, you know, a belt is a really important thing to have. It gives you an extra added layer of options, you know. So it's just important to wear a belt. If you're one of them guys out there and you're not used to wearing a belt, you need to wear a belt. That's that new case I got.
The apple,
Green apple, man.
green apple. Yeah.
And you know, I I like this green apple, but like everything else, there's a lot of different color variations. And I wanted one that looked like this, right? I
Mm-hmm.
like that coloration where it's a dark green in the middle and lighter like yellow on the side. And I picked this up off of wildhorse.com. You ever hear that?
Never heard of it.
You ought to go check them out. So what they're known for is that they take the scales of knives and they modify them, right? So they're kind of like Santa Fe Stoneworks, but they don't do so much stonework. It's just a lot of different type of scales that they put on there. But yeah, so that's where I got that. A good price. It was less than I would have paid off a website.
Okay. And
I'm
I had a
trying to
couple of
buy. Go ahead.
I had a couple of friends this morning that were asking or talking about different options of places to buy knives from because they were like, I look at Smoky Mountain and they're out of what I'm looking for. Then I go to
Yeah.
Blade HQ and they have what I'm looking for, but then I get interested in something else and they're out of that. So, is there a place that I can go where I can find everything that I'm looking for at one spot and just buy it at one time? And I was like, no, in my experience, I've always had to kind of like get one from here, one from there. And then we got to talking about alternative places like you're talking about right there, like
Yeah.
some places I've never heard of before.
So,
So,
you know, I think places like Blade HQ have really good inventory, and Smoky Mountain Knife Works has really good inventory. And so, you know, the longer something's on that website, of course, the more they're going to burn through the inventory. But like I shop around, so I'll go. There's things I know you can't get at Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and so I'll go to Blade HQ and check them out. But then I'll go to like Chicago Knife Works to see, because a lot of times they've got knives 10 to 20% less than other places. That's where I got this pyrite, right? Was Chicago Knife Works, and it was a lot cheaper. And I just bought a fox knife. I don't want to say too much about it because I haven't got it yet, but I just got this really nice fox knife, fox cutlery
yeah,
from Italy. and
Yeah.
it's listed as $193 on Blade HQ. You go to other websites, it's around. I've seen it for as low as 150, but I got it off of Chicago Cutlery for $120.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, and it's same knife, you know. So that's why I always like I'll look at a couple websites and then I go to Chicago Cutlery. But
Hmm.
let me think of some of the ones. Knives Ship Free. Have you ever heard of them?
Knives ship free. No. I
Yeah.
often find myself at DLT because
Yeah.
they got exclusives, and I like looking at the exclusives.
Yeah. So I like DLT a lot. They're one of my main ones. I bought a lot of knives off DLT. They're not the lowest price, but if like the thing about DLT and places like Knife Ship Free, if you're looking for a custom knife or one of these high end knives, you know they stock those, right? They're in stock. They don't have to order them, and that's the place to go if you're looking for a special knife, you know, along with the Bokers and cases and everything else they have. But DLT is a little less than Knife Ship Free,
Oh,
and
okay.
I don't buy too many knives off Knife Ship Free anymore. And then Tom at Tom's Knife Delights, he turned me on to that East Texas Hardware.
Hmm.
East Texas Hardware.
I'll write that one down. East Texas Hardware.
And I find that their prices on cases are pretty good.
Okay.
And a lot of times they've got cases that other people don't. And the reason you want to look at places like that, it is a lot of times these knives will sell out other places, and places like East Texas Hardware and man, I just said it.
Chicago.
Nah, the White Horse, not White Horse. Man, I can't even remember that name now. It's hell getting old, brother. Hell getting old.
Yeah.
Uh,
I hear you, man.
what is that? Here it is right here.
Chicago Knife Works.
Wildhorsecustom.com. Wild Horse
Wild
Custom. That's it right there. That's their logo.
Wild Horse. Okay.
Wildhorsecustom.com. But
Wild
yeah, they have just regular. Here, it's back up there. They have
Okay.
regular knives too. Like this is just a regular case knife, But they also have a lot of really cool customized knives. But if you go to those, when the big guys are out, a lot of times these little guys still have inventory,
Oh, okay.
Kentucky Red Hills Cutlery,
All right. Shepherd
and
Hills.
yeah, Shepherd Hills, Kentucky, Knife
Yeah, I
Works.
like this one. Deadwood.
Yeah,
Deadwood. Those
yeah,
guys are pretty cool. And I've talked to them too, man. I've called them and or left messages. They call me back, emails. They're pretty good about getting back to a person too. That's pretty cool. I'm actually on the waiting list now at Deadwood. They have the case honeycomb that's supposed
yeah,
to be dropping now in April, but what are we today? The 14th, 13th?
yeah.
And I still haven't seen it drop, so I like
The
that honeycomb looks really cool.
Deadwood's a company that they'll buy a knife off of you, right, and then sell it. And so it's a place you can go to and find knives like those Diamondback case knives. You, they're hard to find. The snake skin
Mm-hmm.
case knives are hard to find, and so they buy knives like that, and then you can go to Deadwood and find them on their website. So kind of like a lot like Wild Horse Custom, those type of
Yeah,
knives.
I'm gonna have to check out this Wild Horse Custom. That seems pretty cool. In the East Texas Hardware. Okay.
Where do you see the knives they have? Like So
Really?
they customize the scales and the knives, and they're really awesome. Uh, the work that they do, and then they have Michael Prater knives. Have you seen him?
No.
Michael Prater does work like David Yellowhorse
Oh, okay. On the books,
on everything.
David Yell David Yellowhorse does more than just the book.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So they'll, and he does work like that. Really good work. Really sharp looking knives. You got to look them up on eBay. David uh, Michael Prater knives.
Michael Prater.
Yeah, Prater.
You know that David Yellowhorse? I post. He was posting some stuff, and I was looking at pictures, and both on Instagram and on eBay. And I just shot some messages out, just shooting the bull, and he's been talking to me ever since. I was like,
Yeah.
that's really kind of cool, when somebody that you would imagine would be too popular or something to talk to a nobody, and he's just like
Uh-huh.
a normal guy. I thought that was pretty cool.
There's Berg knife and Bandor blades on there.
Hello, hello.
Berg says he recommends White Mountain knives. I've been to their website before. Yeah.
White Mountain Knives.
So what else you been up to? Have you been looking at maybe doing a camping trip or something like that?
What I started doing, and this was last week, and I got some footage, but not enough to make me happy enough to make a video, was we started going out of town to Ace Hardwares. New Mexico has, at least in every small town, there's an Ace Hardware or a hardware called Racks, and they have a case knife stand. And usually, these small towns, a lot of these northern New Mexico people don't really collect case knives. They'll buy a knife and they'll use it for utility out there in the ranch, or, mechanics will buy them and stuff, So these um, case displays have case knives in there that are, from the early 2000s. And they're only going to charge you what they're selling them for, right? $69.99, $59.99. So I started making some road trips. We went north last week to the state capital, Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Yeah.
Me and my auntie went in there, and they didn't have a whole lot to look at. They had a sod buster. It was 2012, and I just chose not to because it was the black synthetic.
Yeah.
I have a couple of them already, but $35.99 is what they wanted for it, and I
Yeah.
told myself that just to get out of town, make some video, maybe run across like a nice red bone, or maybe even some something from the past, like whatever I can find out there that's going to be at a normal cost, that's going to be a little older. Because my father in Taos, which is way northern New Mexico, got a Tony Bose for $70. He
Yeah.
sent that to me for Christmas, man, and that was from our Ace Hardware out there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my thing is I'm gonna really try not to buy $250 worth of knives, because I'm gonna put it into gas and travel and food, and just get out of town and take my family and
Yeah.
see what we can find in those little shops, man.
Yeah. I mean, uh, it's a hunt, right? So
Yeah.
it's a lot of hit and miss, but man, when you find something, you can find some unbelievable knives in these little shops, and it just it'll blow you away what you can pick up. And then a lot of them, like you're talking about that Tony Bose. I mean, a little Ace orders that, hoping to sell it. but 5 years later, they still have it, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's where you can get a good deal. I had my local there's a hardware store. I mean, it's not a mile away from me. And my neighbor, he's moved now, but my neighbor used to work up there. And I came in one day and I was looking in the case stand. It was a counter case stand, right? And there was probably, I don't know, 35 knives in it, right?
Okay. Okay.
And I was just, he asked me if I was interested, and I said, I'm just looking. I'm a knife collector. And he said, I'll sell you the stand and all the knives in there if you want. And I was like, well, how much? And he said $300, right?
Oh, nice.
So I didn't take that. I was like, I wouldn't even buy in case knives then, right? They
Okay.
weren't even on my radar. And I kicked myself for not doing that, because I mean the knives themselves, 30 knives at $60 a piece, like
Yeah.
$3,600, and he's going to sell me
Okay.
all of them and the stand for
Right.
300, and I didn't take that. That was so stupid,
Mm.
but
The one that got away. Oh my gosh. Those are good
usually I'm
stories too, man.
Yeah. I mean, usually I think
Just
of things kind of like in a business way, right? So a lot of times when I look at a knife, and even if I'm not interested, I recognize I could sell that knife for twice as much as I'm buying it, right?
Mhm.
And so I may buy a knife, yeah, just because of the value of the knife. But I don't know. I had the money too, you know. I had the money. I did not have case on my radar. I was buying modern knives at the time, and early in my knife collecting career, so I wasn't really as deep into it as I am now. So I mean, now I'd buy something like that in a heartbeat, you know. But
Yeah. Man, that's cool. I mean, you, it's like talking about the big fish that you hooked, but you couldn't relay it, man.
yeah, it got away. It got away.
It got away. Oh, heck yeah, man. I dig that. That's great. That's a good story, man.
Old Berg Knife saying he just walked away with 4 knives from a flea market. I've never really done
Oh,
real well at a flea market, but there is one up here. It's about an hour and a half away from me, up in Tennessee, and that thing is Candyland for knives. I mean,
really?
it's like 40% of the booths are knife booths, and it is a fantastic place to go to get knives. But I haven't been back up there in maybe 6, 7 months.
I just talked to my nephew this morning who came from Denver, Colorado. He was there last week, so he was out there for 7 days. And I told him, hey, when you're, because I took him maybe a couple months ago and I made a video of it where me and him were just hitting the antique shops here, local to me. And
Yeah.
he really fell in love with antiquing, man. We got a bunch of old tools. He was old monkey wrenches that he fell in love with. So I told him when you're out there in Denver, just look up a couple shops, and see what's out there so that we can take a trip one time. So he called me this morning and let me know that he went to an indoor market that when you walk in to the right side, it was all antiques and antique knives. And it took him 30 minutes to walk from the door all the way to the back of that aisle.
Hmm.
Just because it was that long, not because he stopped and looked around. He said there were so many. So that's on my list, man. I got to get out there and look around at that.
Some of them, like there's one up there. If you're going up to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, there's a huge uh, flea market. They're every weekend, right? One of
Oh
those
yeah.
type of places, and There's a lot of knives up there. I mean, it's not like 40% knives. It's a lot of other stuff too. But it's people up there who are getting knives from garage sales and things like that. So there's a lot of really cool, knives that you can find. But I like, I'll buy little tin boxes. I antiques. I buy all kinds of stuff.
Hmm.
I like antique and I like old stuff. And obviously I like old stuff. I like my wife, but although
Yeah, she likes that old stuff too, huh? That's why
she ain't
you
around.
guys are made for each other.
If
I
if
think it
she
was,
hears that, I'm in deep trouble.
man. I think it was this morning's video with that green apple knife that you. The first part of your video was you and your wife being dinosaurs in the kitchen.
Yeah, I think we had just watched Jurassic Park a day or
Oh,
two before. She didn't know what was going on. I went in there like a T-Rex. Ah! And she just picked up on it, man. She didn't at first she was looked at me like what's going on, and then she got it and she was right into it.
that's great, man. That's
She's
great.
a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
she is.
cool. It's cool that you throw those bits into your videos too, man. I like that bit of reality, that just to see that there's real people on the other side of the screen.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome, man. I like
Well,
that. I
and
like that.
my family's kind of crazy. I think every one of them are crazy. So it's some interesting videos I can take. I'm sometimes I sit here and I can't believe what they're saying. They say some crazy stuff. It's like, man, I got a video of this. I like
That's fun.
all that stuff with my wife. That the crazy stuff she says
Yeah.
is spontaneous. It's not like, hey, let's do this, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of times, like I'm holding my camera down by my lap, and I'll just turn it around, to take the video, and she's just talking, right? And I'm filming whatever crazy thing she's saying, and it's
I
funny.
love it, man. It's
Yeah.
great, bro. It's great.
One time
I think.
one time I took a video of her. She's got a book and she's hitting her hand with a book, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" Right? And she had a cyst inside there, a ganglion cyst, I guess. And she had
Mm.
read that if you hit it with a book, it'll do away with the ganglion cyst. So she's sitting there hitting herself with this book, and I filmed her doing that. It's just, you know, it's
I've
funny.
seen that, man. Yeah.
Yeah, she,
Have you used that clip a couple times, huh?
yeah, yeah. I'll run through them, every now and then. Uh, and then sometimes, like, I'll have the family over, and I kick myself because I'm not filming. I forget to do any
Oh,
filming. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Anytime you get family together, or your friends, you know, and
it's
that's the best time to film.
it's gonna be an adventure for sure.
Yeah.
Well, this
All right.
little kid, my little girl too, man. She says crazy stuff too, and I think that's what I like too. Is I wouldn't I don't want to forget that stuff, and I think making a
Yeah.
video of it's gonna help me look back every once in a while and just laugh, because
Yeah.
it's the day goes by and you get so busy and you're like you forget about what you just laughed at, and it's pretty
Yeah.
important to pay attention to the good times.
That's why I film the grandkids so much, because the kids are unfiltered, right? Like last night, I was watching my granddaughter for an hour or so while my daughter was out uh, having dinner. And I'm sitting there with her, and she said, out of nowhere, right? She just decides to tell me, my dad says you're an old man. I don't care, right? They just throw it out there. I was
That's
like,
cool.
well, I think your dad's a young man. How about that?
Hmm.
You know, so yeah, it's
Hey,
fun.
Have you guys do you have any experience with these Gerber mini multi tools? It's called the
I,
Clutch.
I don't.
Man, so Bubba in that package yesterday gave this to me, and I've been just messing around with it, but it really, really, really is not a cheap little tool, man. It's really well put together.
Yeah,
It it flips open, and the spring is so the tension on the spring is great. The
yeah.
tools are great, and the little knife in there is nice. I don't know why I've never heard about it or
Well,
seen them.
like their big ones are pretty popular too. A lot of guys like those big Gerber um, multi tools, but I've never used one.
They advertise them a lot. Those big Gerber ones of being military multi tools, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if they. Oh yeah, I got a little message on my side from Wilson. He's East Tennessee. Well, he's changed his name now to Leatherworks, but he wants to know if you have GECs and how many GECs do you have?
I think I have 7 GECs.
Are they older ones, or have you reached out to get a new GEC recently?
I I don't pay a lot of attention to my GECs. I like them. I don't know whether I have a new one or not. I think I do. I think I have a. I got that pane glass one. It's a English jack, and it looks like pane glass. I think
Oh,
that's a
okay.
newer one, but I'm not really sure. And when I look to buy those GECs, I don't want to pay more than $200, right? So
Right.
I look and I'll pick up a GEC. The other thing is the way I collect, right? Like some guys will collect, a 4 or 5 different models. They love a model 78, and so they collect 4 of them. But I like to collect different models, and so when I can find one, like I recently got a model, I think it's a 27 that I got. Really nice jack, right? Small jackknife. But I paid 160 for it. So
Mm.
in at a lot of those, over the past couple years, the price has gone up a little bit, but in between 110 and 150 is what they go retail. So
Mm-hmm.
I figure if I spend 160 or 180, I'm paying $20, $30 more than I should for it. But
Okay.
that's how I buy them. You know,
I like GEC makes a synthetic cover Whittler, and I've had my eye on that because they'll have an orange one or a yellow one or
yeah,
a black one. They're just basic, but the Whittler blade looks really cool. How it's kind of got like a Warrenclyffe look to it.
yeah.
I
So
like those.
that's a model 38, and then they also they make a what is that called? Iron board sleeve board. They make a sleeve board, and I've seen them in a regular equal end jack too. So they make a bunch of different models of whittlers.
I love Equal End, man.
Uh,
So
It's
when I'm
nice.
looking around, go ahead.
It's a nice design, equal end.
So I've seen pretty often
That's
that. Oh yeah, that's
that's a
sweet, man.
Highland. That's a big. This thing is big. I think it's 4.5 inches. But
That's cool.
let me get my ruler. But go ahead. What you were saying?
The cattleman's knife or a cattle knife. That's usually a 3 blade
Yeah,
knife, but it's equal end, right?
yeah.
and why would they? I mean, they probably has an all, and that would, excuse me, and that would be more towards calling it a cattle knife. Why are cattle knives called cattle knives? Besides the fact that they're probably outside working
Because
on the
they were
ranch with them.
marketed when they first came out, they were marketed to cattlemen and ranchers. So that's why they're
Okay.
called a cattle knife. And also the size. So they're really robust. A cattle knife was a pattern that ran between 3 5/8 and 3 3/4, with most of them being around 3 3/4. So they were a big, robust knife made for that type of living when cowboys were roaming the range, right? And a lot of them had leather punches, but not all of them. So they started out. The first cattle knives were two bladed, and then they added a blade to it, and so that's why they call them cattle knives. But yeah, it was an equal end pattern, and this one is 4 1/4 inches from Rough Rider.
I like
I
that.
just love this. I
It's
love
not.
these big equal end knives, man. They're just easy to pocket and big, robust like a cattle knife, and it just fits good in your hand.
That's nice. I
They're
like
just.
that.
I'm not currently carried that, but I carried it for a while, and like I'll drift back and carry them every now and then. That's a Highland, is what it's called.
The Rough Rider Highland.
Yeah, I've got a few. I got a few of these things that are old, and like a pre 1940. I got a couple that are this big, old, and they're really cool.
Yeah, man, I like them.
Yeah,
Man,
it's a good knife.
I've been I've been carrying that Rough Rider that I showed yesterday. That
You got to keep
one's
that
really,
white.
yeah, I like it like that, man. It's beautiful to me. It's really cool. But they're 19.99. So if I got another one, it wouldn't be too well. Actually, I put a couple in my wish list already, so I'll probably get a couple more.
I
You can
thought that
mess
was a
around with.
I thought that was a work knife when you first showed it, but the more I looked at it, the more I realized it's not really their work knife. It's a different pattern. It's got that square on the side there. I don't think their work knife has that. It's a little
Yeah.
different pattern than a work knife. And the sway back is smaller too. It's just slightly
Oh,
swayed on there.
yeah. Just a little.
I don't like swaybacks, and not that I don't like swaybacks, but like for work,
Yeah.
they just they don't fill your hand up because they were designed for reverse grip, right? For
Mm,
pulling cuts.
that makes sense.
Yeah, they're
Because the
designed
because
for
the
pruning. Hmm.
the minute I turn this one around, it feels really good,
Yeah,
but it's awkward.
right,
It's awkward right there. It becomes a little awkward. Yeah, you're
right.
right.
So I mean, I like swaybacks. I just don't like to carry one like EDC one. Um, yeah, just me. A lot of guys do though. You know, a lot of guys. A lot of guys
I,
do.
I didn't think I was gonna be into pruning knives, man, but I picked up this really old Camillus pruning knife.
Hmm.
It needs work, so I'm gonna clean it up and I'll throw that probably in a video maybe next Saturday or something, man, because it's gonna take me a while to get some free time. But that is a very cool pruning knife.
The
A
case
Camillus. It's a Camillus.
is a Camillus.
Yeah,
I'm watching. I
it's
must have seen another video. I saw a video recently. Somebody had a case, Model 11
mm,
pruning knife. But yeah, I've got a few of them. Hawkbill pruners
yeah.
and a few different kinds. They're cool to collect, and then one of the few knife patterns. Like if you're trying to get a knife from the 1800s, a pruner, it's pretty easy to get a pruner that dates to 1880, 1860. So it's a good pattern to get if you just want to say, man, I got this knife from 1880.
Mhm. Why would they? Why would they be more available?
They're not as hard used, you know.
Uh,
So the way those pruners initially were used was to prune plants, right?
okay,
So
sure.
the type of person that would be pruning a plant, okay, was an upper scale person, right? They had money, and so the knives just were used for that, right? And how often do you prune a plant?
Hmm.
Once or twice a year, maybe, and
Seasonally, for sure. Yeah.
they weren't used as hard. If you take a knife, like a regular jack like this from the 1860s, the thing's going to be falling apart, and the blades are be worn pencil thin, right? And
Yeah.
probably won't work. Most of them were thrown away because people just use these things until they wore out, and that was it. They got another one, but money was tight, and so you just didn't throw knives away like we do now. But
Yeah.
the pruners, it's the same as true with the uh, um, fruit knives, right? So fruit knives were used just to cut fruit by ladies, and so you can find these stunning fruit knives
Yeah.
from the early 1800s, right?
I've seen
And
some nice ones. Yeah.
yeah, and they're perfect, and it's because they were used by ladies to cut fruit. Whereas most knives in the 1800s, I mean, they were used. People used them for everything. So yeah, it's harder to get. It's harder to get a big old knife like this. I think I have one big knife like this from 1870, and it's in fantastic condition. It's a George Westinghouse, but
Mm.
most of them, just aren't in the greatest of shapes, because people use the crap out of them, wore them out.
Yeah. The way they sharpened back in the day too. I don't know if people just used the stone. They were just really rough on those blades, huh? Man, you could. It's tough to get a Westinghouse with a nice blade.
Yeah.
I've picked up quite a few vintage Weston homes, and they're all just sharpened down. Man, a lot of steel is missing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at how many Imperials you find with the blade geometry almost perfect on it, and things 80 years old, 70 years old, 50 years old. It's because the people that bought those Imperial were just using them to cut threads and open envelopes and things like that. But people that tended to buy a case were looking for a good knife that would hold up. And so case knives, Cattaraugus knives, um, Robinson knives, these knives were marketed to people who worked hard, and they wore those things out, man. That's why it's hard to find a really good
Mm.
Cattaraugus in good shape. A good Robinson, really hard to find. And George Westingham was the same way. So they were known to be a really good knife.
When I first met you, well, I watched a lot of your videos and saw some of your Robinsons, and then when we first started talking, we talked more about Robinsons, and I ended up finding me a really snappy one. It's here somewhere. I'd got to look for it, but
Yeah,
man, that Robinson, I'll never get rid of because that thing's the spring on that sucker is so nice.
yeah,
That's a tough, that's a tough knife, man.
they were really well made knives too. I mean, they really put a lot into their knives. And if you take an old one side by side with the case, you see the difference right away.
Oh,
They just made them a lot better.
yeah, I got you, man.
Well, I'm gonna wrap it up. I just wanted to say hi and shoot the crap with you.
That was cool, man. Got to do it again. I always appreciate hanging out with you, Mike.
Old Baxter came on there for a little bit. I think Andrew left. Stan's still on here. Todd's on here. Hey, Todd. Hey, Stan.
Todd,
You get a chance to
Stan,
say hi.
Andrew.
Deadhead Leather. Is that guy you were talking about? Deadhead Leather?
Yeah, Wilson.
Yeah. Well, I have to look him up.
It was good to see you guys. It was good to hang out. Appreciate you guys. Have a good Sunday.
We're going to let it go.
Take care.